I don't especially think that anybody cares what I think. So I thought I'd express what I think in a speak out message. When it comes to the situation in Donbass, we're all hoping Putin stops where he is, which is some territories containing some Russian people who voted to be in the Russian Federation, but there's not separate from Ukrainian sovereignty. And they've been subject to a lot of terrorism, including assassination from the right wing. Not saying that I'm here to interview those people, to ask them, do you want to be surrounded by troops and be a launch pad for a big war? They probably don't want that either. Most of them probably old women, Russian women, who don't get any consideration from Kiev. Nobody wants to see this stuff, you know. I mean, if you have half an intellectual P in your brain, you know that there's something called the Mex agreements, which could have worked this all out, but was being ignored by the Democratic demagogues. And none of that really plays to the tune of American welfare, where the problems is that we live with a society that knows that the best thing we've ever done is the Democratic Party, but at the same time, they're not living up to it. Like, take a look at me, for example. They used to laugh. They used the nerve agent on me. They tortured me as a child. They brutally tortured me. And the only thing Seattle had, were supposedly so liberal, the only thing Seattle had to say about it was that they wanted to help Putin and Trump work me over to make some money off my story by calling me a liar. And this is ridiculous. I have hearing aids from the nerve agent, and my eyes are losing my eyesight from the beatings and torture. If you look into the conscious contents of it, you'll find I was sort of um, sarcastic about this. So my father wrote a book on understanding communism. He said the best way to deal with this stuff is to understand it and talk to them rationally. And people made out with it, barking at me with dog-like bellicosity that my father was a pinko and I was following in his footsteps. You know the old Democratic Party song and dance. They raped Vietnam with it, and you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that because it's not good for it's uncomfortable for the recovery program of the veterans who are now with all over northern Israel Christianizing by torturing a child an old man who was tortured as a child. This is how they get their yahs out. And you're supposed to believe that when the Democratic Party says they represent the principles of the United States of America. It's a joke. But you have to, understand that our hopes that they would represent the best in the United States of America, that much is true. The pacified aspect of me, that I would be recognized for my poetry, not just robbed for it, not just placated by approval of my poetry. Somebody would actually like it, other than some murderous, cruel sicko from Britain and King Crimson, that somebody would actually approve and think nice things about my poetry. And that's like the principle of the Democratic Party, that each man works hard on a low level and gets rewarded. And the only difference between that and worker communism is that you get rewarded. You don't get jumped on by the state to tell you should work harder, which is well, actually, the way that kind of mentality works in Seattle, where they have the wobblies and stuff. You're supposed to let them homosexually molest you because the tribe has decreed that you'll be blessed if you let them molest you. This is the worker capitalism at its finest in Seattle, and the Democratic Party winks at that because, after all, his father was a panko, you see. My father was a decorated naval veteran. But then the Black Panthers say he was in the CIA. It comes out of every hole in their body. Know why we have two nostrils and two ears? Because your arms go in your ears and your feet go in your nostrils and your so and so goes in your mouth and you ball up and become a yin and yang. That's why. That's how. Well, I'm out on the West Coast. They call this stuff philosophy. It's a joke. And it's a mean one, and it's an ugly one. It makes no sense at all. So where are we really? Where are we really is in Trump Eternia, where every man is for himself. Do you remember when they made us put on, like Muslim women, we had to all put on masks, and pray to God that we didn't catch the virus. And guess what? Every man for himself. They were saying you keep your distance 6 feet apart or 6 feet under. Remember? It wasn't just yesterday, but it wasn't that long ago either. Everybody made for the hills. Nobody helped their homegirls. Nope. Nobody helped their ex-girlfriends. Nope. Nobody helped the grannies. Nope. Want to know why? Because a celestial gang came from England with African cosmonauts who were on the flame. These were the people who were supporting Flame Over Africa over 20, 30 years, 40 years ago when I was reporting Flame Over Africa for child torture. They said, no, 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 because in Pittsburgh and in Seattle, if the queers want to molest you as a child, that's celestial. So here comes the wolves from Flame Over Africa, and they want equity, climate control, and they're going to Fridays for Futurists to death. And guess what? You two-timed the girl who's just now a celestial media star. You remember when you two-timed her? So, they have all sorts of stories that they tell. Not one of them gives a damn about anything. Not one of them. Not one. Not Greta Thunberg, not Camille Valieva, not Mr. Pitt, not Joe Biden, and certainly not Sean Hannity. You've got to be kidding me. Trumpy Tune stands over the whole thing, pulling strings like a bra strap and laughing his you know what off, because that's all it is. It's every man for himself now. So go on and believe in the Democratic Party. But remember, they tortured me as a child. And guess what they did when I grew up old enough that I had a vocabulary to express and ask for help? They poisoned me in the mouth. And they said, Jiminy Cricket, King Crimson gets into you. Fuck that. My people. It's a bunch of baloney.